Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Saw. Delighted to be in Las Vegas. We're here with Shane Watson. Just kick the camera. We're at Joe Joyce fight camp. How are you feeling? He's in there now, ready to rock and roll. Zhang 2. All things going well so far?
We're in Bosch Vegas for starters, and yeah.
Oh my God!
I know, yeah.
He's not even here for that.
Yeah. I can't get out of my head ever since Big John started saying it to me, so it's in the head now. But yeah, no, really good start to camp. Well, I say start. We've been here for quite a while now, but really good start to sparring, shall I say? And a really good camp so far. Joe's responding well. He's doing well. We're dealing with things a lot better. We're already a million miles ahead of what we were last camp, which is a much better place to be, of course. And we've got a lot of time left to add to that and expand on that as well. So it's been great so far. Enjoying the Vegas weather, even though we're currently standing in shade for people like me.
We need to protect you by all costs in this heat.
Yeah, exactly. and the hospital bills out here, if you do get bad sunburn, it's a bit of an issue. So, but yeah, no, everything's going well, and hopefully we can just build on that and keep improving Joe and get him even stronger and better ahead of September 23rd.
You know, I touched on it with Joe. His resume for someone who's had, not that many fights is incredible. The people and the standard level of people he's beat. I feel like when he got the loss to Zhang, he took a lot of criticism and they almost questioned him and questioned his preparation. Has he had proper southpaw sparring? Because it was an off night. He didn't look himself. What did you make of all the stick he took for that fight? And was it some of it justified? What's your opinion on it?
I mean, people are entitled to their opinion, but when their opinion comes from nothing, then that's what frustrates me. Why are people saying that Joe wasn't sparring southpaws? Were they here? They weren't. So where are they getting that false information from? At the end of the day, Joe sparred southpaws 3 days a week for the duration of his sparring during camp. There were a number of other problems during camp, which I'm not going to air on camera, and I'm not going to take the credit away from Zhang because he's the champion on the night and he deserves the credit for it because he was a big underdog and he came and took his opportunity at the end of the day. So, but there's a number of things we put correct this time, and we're putting correct. We're putting things in place to make sure it's even better, and you will see a by far better Joe Joyce, and I think a career best Joe Joyce ahead of September 23rd. The past is the past. I'm not going to dwell on it. The only thing I will say is I would rather look at that performance and realise there's a lot of things that we need to change in camp and on fight night to make Joe better, rather than going into that fight 100% and having the same result and then scratching our head and thinking, what do we do here? At least we know what to do now. We investigated it as a team together over a couple of weeks and really looked deep into a lot of the problems that there were, corrected most of them. Some of them are still to be corrected because that's later on in camp. And I'm very confident we will see an absolutely devastating, unreal performance from Joe Joyce on September 23rd.
You just said devastating there. Zhang came in, and I think a lot of the media, surprisingly, overlooked him coming into it. He had a terrific performance against Filip Hrgović. A lot of people said he won that fight. Don't think that's an unfair assessment. Was there a bit of, I don't want to say you overlooked him, but did you think it would be maybe easier than what obviously it clearly was?
Yeah, I mean, I gave Zhang a lot of credit in the build-up because I've been watching Zhang for the last 13 or 14 years, even as an amateur. I know exactly the qualities he can bring to the table, and he beat Hrgović. The only person who doesn't think Zhang won that fight was Hrgović and Kadasaldan. So, I don't know one other person that genuinely scored that to Hrgović. I'm not actually taking the piss. I actually mean it, but it's irrelevant now anyway. He got the W on paper. That's all that counts, I guess. But yeah, no, I knew it was a tough fight, and I knew it was going to be a very tough fight for the first 4 or 5 rounds. Because Zhang brings devastating power. He's got a great backhand, a great counter right hook. And I knew that would be a problem for Joe early. And it was just about getting out of that, without too much wear and tear, and taking it into Joe's half of the fight, which is almost the same as any fight, really. I mean, Joe's never really, apart from the Parker fight, in my opinion, of recent times, and has he really been up after 4 rounds? I've always seen it. It's an uphill battle for him. No, it's a problem with him early, and then later on, that's when he gets stronger. So I wasn't overly surprised. It's just the eye injury, and the eye injury, the referee was absolutely right to stop it, by the way, because I was worried about Joe's eye. Health and safety is paramount. I didn't want him to have any long-term issues with it. Luckily, it was just bruising and swelling, which is really good. It shows how tough he is, I guess. But yeah, no. So that was the main problem, and I'll probably get shit for saying it, but I do believe if Joe didn't get the eye injury, I still believe he'd have won that fight. I think he was looking strong in round 6. He had a better round 5, and Zhang was slowing down. You look at the punch stats; he was hardly throwing anything, coming on square. And Joe said it was the fittest he'd ever felt. I mean, he's fit anyway, and he was like double as fit as what he usually is. So I'm absolutely sure at some point he would have stopped Zhang, but it's irrelevant talking about it because he lost a fight fair and square to Zhang anyway.
Where does he go if the unthinkable happens and he takes a second to defeat? I don't say unthinkable, like Zhang's a very good fighter, there'd be no shame in losing, but he'll obviously believe in his heart of hearts, comes here, does the job, and he can crack back on with what he was, where he was on that path. What would a defeat do for Joe at this point in his career?
Listen, it's definitely not ideal. I mean, as a heavyweight, there's always big opportunities. I mean, Derek Shaw has lost 13 times, whatever it is, and still lands big fights and decent money, so there's always opportunities there. Obviously, it's definitely not ideal, and it's going to be very hard to work back to world title contention. Trust me, no one's going to want to give him a shot, put it that way. So you're going to have to work.
You don't want to now.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's it. And even when he was undefeated and headlining pay-per-views, still no one wanted to give him a shot. So it's going to be very hard. But obviously, we as a team will always back him, always support him no matter what happens. But I'm not even thinking about that too much right now. I'm so sure that Joe's going to get the job done right this time. It was Joe in his worst possible night it could ever have been, and I still believe he would have won that fight. So.
Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. What do you make of that fight? Obviously, AJ's now with Errol Spencer's trainer in Derek James. We've seen him go from, obviously, Rob McCracken and then Robert Garcia. What do you make of this fight coming up? Do you think it's a 50-50? What do you think?
No, I think it's 85-15.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's. I'm just being honest. I think AJ's new adopted style was an absolute nightmare for Dillian Whyte. I don't see how he's going to get on the inside to get his shots off at all. I think Derek James will add a lot more to AJ's game as well. He's an unbelievable trainer. If he's not already, he'll be a future Hall of Famer for sure. And you know what? Anthony Joshua, for the first time in probably a number of years, actually looks happy as a boxer. He looks happy there. And for the first time, he's not the star of the gym. You know, he's got
a few in there, hasn't he?
Yeah, they've got a few. You've got Errol Spence, who's obviously the star of this weekend. You've got Ryan Garcia now. You've got Charlo.
Yeah, Frank Martin as well.
Frank Martin, who's had a good win recently, a tough win, but a good win. Yeah, there's some big names in there and big personalities as well. It's not just the AJ show anymore. And he probably needed a bit of that. And do you know what as well? I know he had a little bit of Robert Garcia. I know that it was a little bit of a fizzled relationship, but he's taken himself away. I'm assuming he hasn't got these 100 of leeches that are just standing around him. I'm not sure what their job is. That's what happens when you become a big, famous, rich person. You get people around you maybe shouldn't be around you. And I'd imagine he has got a smaller team because I don't think Derek James would settle for 100 people in the corner. And that should work out for him. And I just think Dillian Whyte's seen better nights, if I'm being honest as well. Dillian Whyte, and I'm, by the way, no means slagging Dillian Whyte off or talking him down. He's given me some of my favourite nights in British boxing in recent memories. And he's earned an incredible amount of money, and fair play to him, he's done incredibly well. But I just think he's seen much better days. And I think AJ has as well, but I think AJ's got a lot more left in the tank than Dillian Whyte. We're talking about a guy who won virtually every round against Franklin, against a guy who maybe didn't deserve the decision. And I'm not just going off of that. I haven't seen a great Dillian Whyte performance at that level for a very long time. And he's had a lot of hard fights. And he spars quite hard as well. And if you do that eventually, and he did kickboxing and stuff before that, it takes its toll on you. And I think that's just kind of where Dillian is. But he's earned an incredible amount of money. He's got an incredible opportunity. And it is still heavyweight boxing. And he is still a very good heavyweight. So the chances are he still can. That's why I still give him 15%. But I just think with AJ's adopted style, it's going to be very hard for Dillian Whyte to land clean and to land clean much. I think where people want the old AJ back that came in and was reckless a little bit and let his hands go, I think that would have been Dillian Whyte's chance. Because he could have countered him with the left hook and whatnot, or right uppercut, but with the new adopted style, I think he'll find it very difficult.
What do you make of his comments on Rob McCracken? I think he referenced obviously having his best years with him and wanting to try get them back. Do you when you see that, obviously Carl Frocher's had a a pretty brutal response. But obviously, that's the relationship he's got with Rob. Were you surprised at them comments?
Yeah, I do think. Listen, it's difficult for me to comment because I didn't live with AJ. I went in in any of those training camps. But from the outside, a guy that took you to Olympic gold medal and the other many great medals that he won as an amateur, and then took you to the unbelievable amount of success over Klitschko and obviously, I mean, Charles Martin and other heavyweights. I feel like, and even like beating Dillian Whyte and things like that, but I feel like he deserves a lot more credit, man. Like, and even if you do have, you are a little bit upset about a few things, I think that should be kept in private. A trainer and fighter's relationship is very different to, I don't know, like a fighter calling out someone else or something's happening in the spine. That's very personal. It's almost father and son. The amount of time they were together, it would have been like father and son. And I think that's why Carl Froch is probably a little bit upset, because I guess he had a father and son relationship with Rob. And he was there night and day and saw what Rob was doing for AJ. So yeah, I do think it's probably a bit out of order. I think some things should be private. And I think, obviously, they had an incredible amount of success together. And you can't look at everyone else and blame everyone else and maybe why things didn't turn out the way you wanted to. Sometimes you've got to look at yourself. Because this isn't the only trainer it's not gone right with now. It's not gone right with Robert Garcia. I think it hasn't fizzled out with Angel Fernandez either. And it looks like it's going well with Dirk James so far. But, you know, it can't just be one person. Or that person. You've got to look within yourself sometimes too.
Talks about Conor Benn's situation. We've had a statement today saying that he's clear to fight in the UK, and he's put a statement out basically saying, you know, this ordeal is now over. What do you make of obviously what's come out and this saga in general? It's been long and drawn out, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, it'd be longer if he actually got banned, I guess, wouldn't it? But I don't know. You know, like, the thing is, to me, again, I'm not a scientist and I'm not in the team and I'm not really anyone apart from a fan, but it's not a good look for boxing, is it? You know, when you pay for VADA testing, 2 VADA tests come back positive, and there's no punishment for it. What does that tell other fighters? That we're using VADA testing here, you know, what does that tell other fighters? But again, that's not me pointing fingers at Conor Benn, because I don't know. It's not me pointing fingers at UKAD or VADA, but it's just not a good look. That's all I'm saying. It's not a good look in general. There's still no explanation that I've seen for why that was in Conor Benn's system and whatnot, and why he's been cleared for it. Like, so it was different. At one point, there was the thing that was put to WBC. Then he said he didn't say it to WBC. So why was he cleared? If he didn't say it at WBC, then what was the reason? Like, I don't know. It's all confusing, man. I think everyone that's not in the teams and camps are probably confused as I am. So, but listen, Conor Benn's a big name fighter. I'm sure he'll be in some big nights and bring some big opportunities. Big fights to British boxing. But if he's innocent, fair play to him. He should be able to fight. If he's not, he should be banned. That's the way it is. And obviously, they believe he should be innocent. So,
Spence-Crawford. The reason I'm in Las Vegas. What do you make of this fight? A genuine 50-50 fight. 2 guys just who are... This show's been promoted purely off their talent and ability and what they've done, the body of work in the sport. I know there were a bit of shit talk yesterday at the press conference, but this fight hasn't really been built around the hype. It's just a genuinely high-level, you know, elite clash. What do you make of it and who wins?
I'm so excited, man. I'm not just joking. I was actually struggling to sleep last night because I was watching the All Access, and it was just getting me so hyped, man. I was thinking about starting shadow boxing in my bedroom and that. I was just like, come on, man. I was like, this is why it's so important, by the way. Everyone at home, please buy the pay-per-view. Don't illegally stream. If we want to see these nights happen more often, and we do, and it's great for the sport, please buy the pay-per-view. It's so important, man. Like, these guys need to get paid what they deserve. The TV needs to earn money. The promoters need to earn money for putting this on. Like, please get behind it, because this is, like, I'm honestly so excited. Like, it's the most excited I've been for a fight since outside of our stable, since Mayweather Pacquiao. This is like everything. Like, and this is in ways better than Mayweather Pacquiao. They're both still in their prime. Yeah. It's both at the top of their game. Like, both still undefeated. Oh my god, mate! I can't even. I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it, man. Like, it's just such.
Who wins?
I edge towards Terence Crawford, because I feel like if something's not going right for Crawford, there's so many different ways he can adapt and change his game. I feel like Errol Spence brings one thing and one thing only, which, by the way, he's super elite at. Like, that's why it's such a good fight. And I just feel like Errol switches off in fights as well. And whenever someone's switched off, in a fight. For example, Sean Porter. For example, Benavidez. For example, David Avanesian. Terence Crawford punishes you better than anyone else, man. He's just an incredible finisher. And we haven't seen too much of that from Spence over the last few years since he came back from that crash. And he's been inactive as well. That's another, that could be a telling factor. At this level, it's the little things, you know. So, but what a fight, man. I don't even really care who wins. As long as it's a good fight and they both get in there and have a good fight. I don't care, I'm just excited, man.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. Look, Shane, appreciate you giving Box Social some of your time. We look forward to catching up with you on Joe Joyce's fight week. And yeah, we wish you all the best for this.
Bosh.